Hey, this is Kyler. We are in week 3 of the One Story Plan. And if you're following along on the One Story calendar, we're walking through day 11 through 15. So we're covering a lot. So maybe this week try to listen to the podcast. Give your kids maybe a piece of paper and some crayons. Or if you're listening to this in the car, take a couple pause breaks and talk about what they're learning. We had a really awesome special guest, and we hope you enjoyed this week's podcast.
2, 3, 4.
What's going on, everyone? This is Kyler with the Grace Kid Podcast, and we are super excited for what we're going to be talking about today. I have a special guest with me, and she'll introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Scarlett, and I'm 11 years old, and I'm in 6th grade.
That's right. And today we have a very interesting story to be talking about. But first, as usual, we're going to start off with our question of the day. So, Scarlett, what is our question of the day?
If your house was on fire, what are the 3 things you would grab?
All right. Whoever you're with, ask them the question, and we'll be right back with our answer.
2, 3, 4.
And we're back, and we hope that you came up with some good things, and we really hope your house does not catch on fire. Just a question, but that'd be bad. But Scarlett, what did you come up with for what the 3 things you would grab if your house was on fire?
I would grab my iPad, my dog Blaze, and I would grab a bag I got for Christmas because it has some stuff in it.
Oh, what kind of stuff is inside?
Some Oreos, my wallet, and a bracelet making kit.
I think that's worth it. Maybe you have you get hungry along the way. You need some Oreos.
I mean, I've got my wallet.
Yeah, and your wallet. That's good. Yeah, I thought about what I would grab, and if I live in an apartment. If my apartment was on fire, I have a roommate. His name's Nathan. He's one of my friends. If he was there, I would probably grab him. I don't know if I could pick him up, but I would definitely be like, Nathan, we gotta go, dude. So that I thought about my laptop. And I actually came up with 4 things, like a camping tent, maybe. I don't know where I'd go. So camp outside, and probably my passport. When you said wallet, it made me think about a passport. I don't know why. I probably wouldn't be leaving the country anytime soon. Probably not. But anyway, so this question actually makes me think about someone in the Bible, part of our story that we're going to be talking about. This person we're talking about really didn't have any time to grab anything. It just hit him all at once, and he just had to respond. And so with that, a drum roll, please. Today we are talking about Job. Yeah, Job. So maybe you've heard his story before, but he has a crazy story. So Scarlett, can you tell us a little bit about Job?
Well, Job was a wealthy, successful man who had a wife, 10 kids, a home, and lots of livestock. And he always followed God.
Yeah, he was close with God. He walked with God, and he praised God. But it says that Satan, he goes to God, and he is like, hey, let me test this Job guy. And God, he says, okay, but you can't harm him physically. And so what happens, Scarlett?
Well, Satan told God to test him. So all his kids were gone. Mm-hmm. All his livestock was either stolen or killed. And it was bad. Yeah,
he went through a really hard time. Yeah, he lost everything. His house, everything is getting stolen or killed, and all this bad stuff happens. But even in all of that, Job praised God, which is kind of crazy. Scarlett, I mean, we haven't probably gone through anything like that, but could you even imagine?
No, that's no.
I know. I'd be for a loss of words too. I'd be like, I can't even believe this. But Job, still through all of that, he praised God, which is just such a really cool thing to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, he says like, the Lord gave me what I had and the Lord has taken it away. Praise the name of the Lord. And all of this, Job did not sin by blaming God. He never blamed God. And so, but that's not it. Satan goes back to God a second time and he's like, hey, that was like great and everything, but let me take away his health and like he will curse you. And God is like, all right, you can do it, but spare his life. You cannot kill him. And so Satan then strikes him with boils from head to foot. He like has disease all over him. Mm-hmm. And even through this, he was still following God. But he has some friends and some people in his life that did not think that way. What happened like with his wife?
Well, his wife went over to him and told him, you should just curse God and die.
Which is not a good thing.
No.
It? And then he has some friends like come into town, right?
Mm-hmm. They went and sat with him in silence for 7 days and also said that he should curse God and die.
Yeah. They start to like be like one, could you imagine sitting in silence for 7 days?
That would, no.
No. You and I, we like to talk.
Yeah.
That would be so hard, I think. But they were actually really good friends for the first 7 days. Like they didn't say anything. They just sat with him, like with all this loss and all these things that were happening to him. They just sat with him and they were just with him. They were present with him. But then after the 7 days, they started to ask some questions like, Job, you did something. Like you must have done something horrible for all this to happen. And he's like, no, I didn't do anything. Like, I don't know what's going on. And then they just kept going round and round and round. And Job's like, no, this is not fair. But God appears in something weird. How did he appear?
He appeared in a whirlwind.
Yeah, like a little tornado, which is, I couldn't even imagine seeing that too. And what he says though, he says, who is this that questions my wisdom with such ignorant words? Which is something that would be really hard to hear when you're like very confused. But Job, he realized like what he said was wrong because he's like, this isn't fair. And God was like, who can say that something isn't fair or not? And God's like, I've existed. I created everything. I've existed since the beginning. I'm just and wise. And you guys are just like merely humans. And so how could you say something like this? And so this whole story, crazy story, it makes me think two things. One, what does this tell us about God? And two, what does how Job responded challenge us and how we're supposed to live? So, Scarlett, how would you apply this to your life?
Well, when something bad happens, it can be good too. We can control our response and like our attitude and how we act about it. So when Job lost everything, he still praised God and had a good attitude about it.
Yeah. He like, no matter what happened to him. I mean, we see like what after the bad stuff that happened, how he responded. But that honestly, it challenges me too. Like when things that happen that don't go my way or how I would like them to go, how do I respond? Do I listen to like Job's wife? Do I curse God? God, I can't believe this is happening. It's like all your fault. Or do I respond like how Job did the first time? Like I praise God anyway, which can be really challenging.
Yeah.
It makes me think too, God is God. Like we're humans. We're not God. We haven't existed forever and we don't, God is just and wise and God can use bad things for good. And I think that's another thing that can be hard too, is that we don't have control of everything. We can't control what people say or what people do. We can only control ourselves. And so the biggest challenges or how we can apply is, how do we respond when things happen? And so, but it makes me think we need a challenge because this is challenging. So, Scarlett, do you have a challenge for our listeners?
I do. So the next time something bad happens to you or anybody else, try to remember Job's story and how he responded with praise and how he just followed God. Yeah,
it's a great challenge. And my challenge is kind of like the other side, like Job's friends. Do you know someone who's going through a hard time? And if you do, how can you be a good friend and help point them to God, and not blame what's going on around them or the thing that happened to them, but say, hey, you know what? We can only control our response. Let's praise God and let's keep following him. And so that's our challenge, which means that's the end of the podcast for today. And so with that, I say, see you later.
And God, I'll take this moment to give you everything, 'cause Jesus, nothing compares to living life with you. Life with you.
If you would like more resources regarding the One Story Plan, go to visitgracechurch.com/onestory. And if you'd like more resources for your kids, you can go to visitgracechurch.com/kids. We also have a YouTube channel, and you can find it by searching Visit Grace Kids on YouTube. If you like this podcast, we would love for you to like, subscribe, share, and leave us a comment. We'll see you soon.